It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too.
He referred to it. I would refer you to the executive order.
Whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly.
And of course, this is another episode of Let's Not Talk About the Epstein Files. So now all of a sudden, Donald Trump has announced that he's taking over DC and he's going to have the National Guard out and he's going to have federal police walking down the street. All of this is brought to you by the look at the squirrel strategy of communications, which is you bring something up to take attention away from something that you don't want anyone to be paying attention to. He is the master of this thing. And here he goes doing it again. There was a whole thing over the weekend where they put out, on Truth Social, I'm putting it out that I'm going to make this big announcement on Monday. And now I'm making a big announcement on Monday and having a press conference. Press conference goes rambling on forever on a myriad of topics, all to take the news cycle off of Jeffrey Epstein. There is absolutely no reason to be taking over DC. Crime has plummeted like 26%. A lot of folks put that on screen today as the president was talking, but this is really about Jeffrey Epstein. And so anyway, I'm going to go over the obvious. A lot of this is Captain Obvious, but still, it should be said that what happened today was incredibly outrageous, unprecedented, and needs to be analyzed from all angles. Get everybody off of the subject of Jeffrey Epstein. It's as simple as that. And so now we're suddenly announcing that we're going to take over Washington, D.C.
We need a ballroom. And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening. They've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed.
He loves throwing the R word out there. And of course, he did that famously when he announced for president for the 2016 race.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. U.S. has become a dumping ground for everybody else's problems. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting, and it only makes common sense.
And of course, trying to brand that to Mexican immigrants, right? I mean, we're just saying the R word all the time. It's an emotion-provoking word. He knows that, and he keeps doing it, as he does generally with crime in general when he talks about crime.
And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico.
And of course, this is where the crime stats have to be thrown up on the screen. This is all from the playbook of authoritarianism. You get people believing that there's this big problem that only you can fix. And of course, this is what happens when we get away from facts and details. as much of the legacy media has gotten away from. They've gotten into opinion and feelings and thoughts and not facts and actual investigation. And he is taking full advantage of that.
Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse.
Well, of course, if we go back 25 years, that would be 2000. The murder rate in DC was notoriously high because of the crack cocaine era. That was the 1990s. I don't know how he got out of this press conference not referring to that, because he probably would have been statistically accurate had he referred to it. But you'll notice that he doesn't refer to it. He's just making stuff up as he goes in terms of the crime statistics. There's a 20% dip in crime, not only in DC, but in a lot of the cities across the country. Baltimore, notably, who of course he criticized. You'll notice that he's targeting Black mayors, Black Democratic mayors. Muriel Bowser is the Black female mayor of DC. Karen Bass is the Black female mayor of Los Angeles. He targeted the mayor of Chicago, and he targeted the mayor of Baltimore, who's doing a great job, Brandon Scott, bringing the crime rate down. Of course, because we're dealing in lying and misinfo and disinfo, of course, nobody's going to mention that.
Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it.
Everything is race, crime, immigration. Race, crime, immigration. Remember when this White House famously put these gigantic photos out of folks who had immigrated to the United States from Mexico on the lawn, on the front lawn of the White House. This is all they do. This is all he's run on. He ran on it in 2016. This is all he thinks about. This is all he talks about. It's always race, immigration, crime. He's marrying those three things together.
Yeah, just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes to our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is... Okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. DC, 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking.
Who is he talking about? What is he talking about? Nobody knows. They do this on every press conference. And in Virginia, the governor, Glenn Youngkin, they did a presser where they announced that they were arresting somebody. I think it was in Woodbridge. And then they all disappeared. And Pam Bondi was standing there behind Glenn Youngkin. And there was this big, bold announcement. And then nothing happened. And they just routinely do that. They throw out crime stats, and the AG in Virginia, Jason Miyares, is throwing out these big crime stats. And then when you go out and ask them, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Where are the names of these people? all of a sudden the room gets dark and then they just float away, because what they need and what they want, and they're getting it from a media that is just asleep, quite frankly. They're getting the ability to amplify lying by the media broadcasting these things. So all they have to do is say over and over again, oh my God, crime is out of control. That's what everybody sees. And in the case of the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal and these conservative outlets, Fox News, they're just replaying Donald Trump saying that over and over, that crime is out of control, crime is out of control, crime is out of control. 99.9% of the people watching that are not living in Washington, D.C. They have no idea what you're talking about. They're not even here to know one way or the other what you're talking about. But that gets amplified. Donald Trump understands that. He understands how the media works. He understands how to amplify misinfo and disinfo better than anybody. And when it comes to a subject like this, you know, you can't prove it one way or the other. They're not producing any names of people or anything. And they just, the wheels on the bus go round and round.
Into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person